Welcome to the official start of Season 2 of Ask the Coroner, the podcast where we answer the questions people have always wanted to know about death investigations. I'm Mark Hammond, Boyd County Coroner.
And I'm Bailey Rucker, Deputy Coroner.
And we're very happy to be back.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Everybody's asked, everybody's wondering when we're coming back, and we're here.
The suspense kills.
This will be Season 2, and the first thing is we're going to change episodes to...
Case files.
We're going to call them case files. So case files are going to be what we're looking at, and this will be case file number 1 for Season 2.
Yeah.
So we did a lot.
Yeah.
Lots gone on. We can talk about a ton of stuff today.
Yeah.
So the first thing, probably what everybody wants to know is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody has seen that right now. I did approach fiscal court. We talked about salaries. I didn't get a raise for the next 4 years. I'm the only guy on the ballot. So we're looking at what's going to happen there. And everybody's wondering what can they do, what can happen. Well, first thing I want to do is talk about death investigation in general. And me and you talk every day about this, and what people need to understand about death investigation, and we did a whole segment on this in Season 1, is death investigation is not part-time work.
No, not at
We
all.
don't do it part-time. We're a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week office. And until people realize that, and until officials realize that, and the counties and the states and everybody else realize that, death investigation gets put on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge problem. It's not just a Boyd County problem. It's not just a Kentucky problem. It's a worldwide national issue that really and truly is becoming an epidemic, because death investigation to me is my number one priority. When I look at, okay, what needs to happen in a death investigation, that's the reason we created the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's a reason that we're doing things. And the first thing I want to say is the podcast isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
The podcast of Ask a Coroner is completely different than the Boyd County Coroner's Office.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first thing everybody needs to realize. We're here to stay. We love what we're doing. And when I created it for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Is I think death investigation needs to be at the forefront. So, one of the things that when we talked about it is, I'm looking at my phone because I'm on call, and that's the other thing.
Earbuds, you get freaked out.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. So we're going to do that. But the first thing everybody needs to understand, and I will tell anybody this, whether it be an official, whether it be the public, it doesn't matter, is that when everybody says that the work it really matters, it does. But you cannot say that and then undervalue the person that does the work.
Preach.
And that's the biggest thing people need to understand. And that's not just me, that's everybody.
Yeah.
What did we get out of the budget this year? The deputies for the first time got moved to $20,000 a year. And everybody's like, $20,000 a year. Yeah, that's not much
big.
money.
Yeah.
That's poverty.
Normal people are saying, "Oh my gosh, only 20,000," but then coroners in the state are saying, "Hey, that's more than what I'm making as a head coroner."
The deputies at 20,000 make more than 85% of the coroners in this state.
Yeah. Head coroners.
Yes. So, and for that, the city or the county gets a lot of stuff. The citizens deserve that,
mm-hmm.
And when you look at that, you got to look at 2:00 in the morning. A call comes in at 2:00 in the morning, and a deputy goes out, or I go out, or both of us go out. The family doesn't care if what I get paid. The family
mm-hmm.
doesn't care what the deputy gets paid. It doesn't care of any of those things. They care that somebody shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and not just shows up with compassion and kindness and respect.
And you're exactly right. We got to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a fire truck that shows up or an EMS that shows up for an ambulance. They don't care when they dial 911. Somebody has to show up.
Yeah.
And you hit it on the head is people are showing up that may not be that kind. They may not be the compassion. But the biggest thing, and this is the key to this, are they trained?
Yeah.
Can they truly investigate that death, give what needs to be given to the family, which is truth, and in turn do that in a timely manner to where the family can move on and have closure in that chapter? And the answer is a lot of times no. It's like anything else. When just because you call 911 doesn't mean you're going to get the best service. I truly believe that we give the best service. Am I leaving come December 31st if something doesn't get reached on my salary? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
I worked on this for a year almost. We're 8 months into this, soon to be 9. And I tried to solve this problem back in February with several meetings and several things. It's not the fact that money is everything to me. Don't get me wrong.
No.
But
you wouldn't have been here for so long if it was.
I don't get rich being the coroner.
Yeah.
I can promise you that. I don't get rich doing public work. I can promise you that. I can make a lot more money in the private side.
Yeah.
And in turn, I just want, this isn't about me. It's about treating the office fairly. It's about whoever that coroner becomes, treating them fairly. What I wanted to do was work towards retirement and in the next 4 years, work with the county and try to have a county code that says when the coroner comes in, whoever's elected, this is what they make minimum, period. And every year they should get a cost of living raise, period. And if they run and they win a second term, they should get this much. And we move towards that salary like anything else. But the problem is that didn't happen. The problem is nobody wants to listen. And the problem is it's a nationwide problem. Since I came forward and said what I said, in the fiscal court meeting and things like that, I've paid attention to death investigation and different places. And you look at different states, and different states still want to hire death investigators as part-time workers.
The listings are straight up part-time death investigator.
That's crazy.
It's not a thing.
No, it's people don't die on part-time.
Yeah.
People die 24/7. And we stay busy. If you look at our office, and we are a small office, you have me and you have 3 investigators. And that's who runs that office along with our transport side and stuff. And when you look at that, that's a small office. And it's not part-time work. A lot of times we're out at all hours of the night. A normal call takes 3 to 4 hours just to knock out and get in the computer system and make sure everything's done. And when you're talking about closing that case out, you're talking 10 to 15 hours of your time working to do that.
Yeah.
We do that between 26.
Look at what our CAD number is right now.
Yeah, we do that 26 to 28 times a year, or a month. And when you do that 26 to 28 times a month, that's a lot. What is our CAD number?
257 right now.
So we've been called out in 8 months 257 times. That is for, it may not be an actual investigation, because actual investigations, we're probably in the hundreds right now. And I don't know what that number is, but we average between 26 and 28 cases. So now we take on top of that we sign out in the neighborhood of 600 cremations a year. Those have to be also reviewed and making sure that happens. And so when that does, that takes time. So it's not the fact that the deputy doesn't have anything to do.
Natural deaths, we also have a natural death form. So every single death in the county is reported through us too.
And that's about 1,200 a year.
Again, you still have to review those when they come across to make sure that it was in fact a natural death.
So until, the big thing is until the county officials say, hey, this is truly a job, this is truly a thing, nobody's going to care until it happens to their family. I've reached out to a lady out of Georgia, and we're hoping to have her on the show this season. And the reason I want her on the show is she's an advocate right now trying to change a law in Georgia because her brother's death, she feels, and a lot of people feel, was wrongly investigated.
Mm-hmm.
That it took literally minutes for them to decide that it was a suicide when it wasn't, or she thinks it wasn't. And in turn, she's trying to change the whole way death investigation happens in Georgia. Guarantee there's stories all over the United States, whether it be Kentucky, Georgia, Florida, you name it, it doesn't matter, that this whole thing happens.
The exact same way, yeah.
And so in turn, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought.
And that's what you were talking about earlier with actually having people in this job that are trained. A lot of people aren't going to go out and pay their own money like you do to get these extra certifications and the extra knowledge that you need to continue doing your job to the best of your ability.
And it takes that. It takes somebody that truly, when you look at that, somebody says, what's the qualifications to be a coroner in Kentucky? And you would look and say, okay, you got to be 24 years old and you got to live in the county. That's it. If you look at Pennsylvania, you have to be 18 years old.
Wow.
And live in the county. That's it. So when you look at that,
that's crazy.
That's crazy to even think about.
Yeah.
That person is going to be responsible to investigate what happened to your loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really brought it to the forefront when we got into this salary dispute. And I didn't mean to bring it to the forefront because it's not about me. No. It's about the office.
You were
it's
just
about the county.
Like preparing for the future. It's trying to put whoever is in your position in a better position for their future too.
Well, when I leave, one of the things I always have said is leave it better than you found it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to leave it better than I found it. And number two, when that person comes to investigate my death, I want it done right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real simple. My family deserves that.
Yeah.
We signed out death certificates the other day, and we'll talk about
Dang
that.
it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And so, our offices went under some changes. We have, due to budget cuts, I lost a part-time deputy. I had to take the full-time deputy slot that we had 4 investigators, and I merged the office position with a deputy now that sits in the office. Has that helped our office? Yes, and that's why I did it.
Mm-hmm. When that was also a $10,000 cut.
Yeah, it was a $10,000 cut that we took right off the top of the budget. And when I say my budget, there's a lot of coroners in Kentucky that are really envious of our budget because our budget is
triple some people's.
$287,000 for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
That includes all salaries, that includes transport, that includes equipment, that includes everything. When you look, some of the county offices lost more in this budget cut than what my office gets in a year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
We
have the smallest
and
money.
It's like 20% to $1 billion budget. It's like, well, okay. 20% to ours is like, oh, we can't get body bags now.
Exactly. That's what it amounts to. I mean, when you look at that, and when you look at budgets and things like that, I'm thankful for what we get.
Oh yeah.
But in turn, we also look at that as this is a wake-up call that everywhere in Kentucky, this is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
When I got into this business, 75% was funeral homes, 25% was independent death investigators. That's almost a 50-50 thing now. It's about a 53-47 split. Because several years ago, who investigated the death, or who was the coroner, which was a funeral director.
Mm-hmm.
And I have friends that are funeral directors, and some of my best friends are funeral directors, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I've always said that the death needs to be an independent investigation. It's like, a lot of times people don't worry about paying a sheriff's deputy. They don't worry about paying a deputy jailer. A deputy jailer in this county starts out at $20 an hour. A deputy coroner gets paid $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
That
Which
deputy
just changed to $20,000. It wasn't even that before.
No,
this.
It was 18.3.
Yeah.
And so, but that's still 85% more of the coroners in this state.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, there's a problem. And when you look at that, funding is a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
Death investigation should be paid like anything else as far as proper training. You should have proper deputies. The coroner should be paid a lot. One of the biggest things was I had a commissioner that said, hey, he works 2 jobs and he's asking for more money. I worked 2 jobs because when I started doing this job as a deputy, I was paid $8,500 a year. As a coroner, when I started out, I was paid $15,000 a year. Every 4 years in this state, you have to go and beg, like you're begging for your life, if you want to continue being the coroner. In turn, you get that money, and then in turn, what ends up happening is that money is set aside for 4 years. There is no cost of living raises. There's nothing. You get that, and that's all you get. So, I had a commissioner that was mad and upset because he said, it sounds like you're saying that we hadn't gave you a raise in 8 years. And I said, well, you have gave me a raise in 8 years. 4 years ago, I went from 40 some thousand to 54,999 for some reason, but that's what I went to. And in turn, now you're not giving me a raise for 4 years. So yes, I went, if I stayed as coroner, I wouldn't get it for 8 years. That's what I'm saying.
You're not getting one every single year. Again, it's that 4-year start of the election.
So what I truly believe is something needs to be done across the United States, not just Boyd County, not just anywhere else. So when it comes to funding, what I'm saying is people should demand. They shouldn't request. They shouldn't do anything. They should demand and should be really upset that their local coroner's office is not supplied with anything. A lot of coroner's offices aren't supplied with an office.
No.
They're not supplied with a transport vehicle. They're not supplied with anything.
A lot of counties have to have their funeral home run it because their money comes from the funeral home to buy equipment, to use vehicles. I mean, all things included.
Counties have never had that problem.
Yeah.
They've always had a funeral home handle it. But in turn, if that same county looked at a sheriff and said, okay, your deputies have to drive their mom's minivan, and your wife's minivan is going to be the cruiser for 4 years because we ain't got no money, you wouldn't be a deputy there. Why is it okay to do that with a coroner's office? Why is it okay to give somebody an office but no place to examine the body, to keep the body, or anything else? There's a coroner in McCracken County right now, down in Paducah area. Paducah is a humongous city and county. You know what they don't have? They don't have a cooler. And I look at that and I'm totally it blows my mind that in 2026, that a city the size of Paducah or McCracken County is out asking and trying to get a cooler and for their office. That should never happen, never. And it wouldn't happen if somebody looked at somebody and said, okay, the sheriff doesn't have a jail, or the sheriff doesn't have an office, or we give them one office, but they have no room for taxes. They have no room for the deputies to do interviews. They have all this stuff. And when you look at that, that's what the community ought to be upset about.
Yeah.
And really upset that in this day and time that doesn't happen.
But it goes back to your point. It's not a problem because somebody's always there to show up.
Exactly.
You get called out at 3:00 in the morning, somebody always shows up. Mamaw dies at 3:00 in the morning, there's somebody there. There's somebody handling that investigation, getting that work done, and then moving on.
But until that doesn't happen, until nobody shows up, that's when questions start getting asked.
Or until somebody shows up again, like you said, that doesn't take it as serious. It's kind of just like, I'm doing this because somebody has to be in this position, but let's just get it over with.
It's kind of like death investigation, and I've said this over and over again. Death investigation is a specialty. Okay, you can take a police officer off the street and you make him a detective today, but is he trained to investigate death? The answer is no. He's maybe had a couple of days of death investigation. That's it. Very few departments will have somebody that's truly trained to do that. And that's where we come in. We come in to where we're the ones that's trained to do that. That's our specialty. Our specialty is death investigation. And our specialty is making sure that investigation is done right. There's been a lot of times we've been on scenes and it's like, don't do this or don't do that when the officer goes to do it, because the officer truly doesn't know.
Yeah.
But we do know, and we're there. What happens if we're not trained to do that? That scene gets mixed up. We only have one shot to do anything, and that's it. In a death investigation, we don't get to go back and redo. We don't get to rewind the tape and go, here, this is that. So that's where we're at in life.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to talk about. People have Facebook me, they've messaged me, they've messaged my wife, they've everything about, okay, it's awful, and they want to know what to do. Honestly, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Where we're at is it's totally up to the county.
It's a standstill.
To decide whether they're going to pay what I've asked for.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask for anything unreasonable. And everybody's like, we totally do not have the money. I've heard this 100 times. But the problem is they do have money for things that they need or want. Positions that's there that they could say, okay, if we truly are in this big money crunch, then by any means, there's things to cut. I could cut things probably in a day and solve this problem. What a lot of people don't realize is, and what's crazy about this whole thing is, we could have solved this problem long before now, because now if I do leave in December, number one, they have to appoint somebody. So that has to happen. Who knows who that would be? It could be anybody. It could be John Doe off the street.
Yeah.
Number two, they have to hold a special election. Special election in this county is going to cost them probably $60,000.
Double what you're asking for.
They would have been over double what I said that I need.
That you'd settle for.
He asked for a number, I gave him a number. And that's as far as it went. So there's nothing that I know that can happen unless, people want to voice their opinion. That's great. I'll take all the, I'll listen and everything else. Yeah. What I do ask is, don't make it about me. Make it about my office. Yeah. What I do ask is,
want it for the right reasons.
To be kind. Don't go out and totally bash somebody. That we don't get anywhere with that. Yeah. I think the world is a terrible place when it comes to that, and we hear enough of that.
Straight negativity. Yeah. You want to be proactive in a situation, not bring anybody down.
I don't think a coroner should have every 4 years to go and prove his worth or her worth. I don't think that should happen. I think there should be a scale that's sitting there, and this is what truly happens.
You know what you're walking into and leaving with. Yeah.
So I think that needs to happen. So let's talk about some other things.
Yeah.
We beat this horse to death.
Yeah. Beat a dead horse, but come on.
So
I think you made a point, though, that'll kind of segue into what you've been working on, what are kind of the next steps, and that was you only get one shot at a death investigation.
That is true. And so, a lot of people say, what do you do in your spare time? I just come back from vacation, which is one thing
Vacation
that I did.
Well spent, let me tell you.
Vacation was big, and when I walked in the office Friday, when I came back, Bailey was like, hey, what did you do on vacation? And I was like, well, we went to the beach, and, Kai had a great time, and Lacey had a great time, and I did too.
I turned into a karaoke star.
And Kai, we had her 3 nights of karaoke, and everybody loved it. And so we had a good time. And I said, but what I did was I decided that I was going to do a couple of things for me. And so I've had book ideas in my mind forever. And I've put thoughts down, and I've did different things. So when I came back, I tossed you a couple of books, and I said, hey, look at these. And you're
last thing I thought was going to come across my desk too.
You were like, well, who wrote these?
I said,
and then you saw my name.
Yeah.
And so I've wrote 2 books. They're in review process right now at Amazon. They're getting ready to be published at Amazon to where people can go in and buy them. The first book I wrote is probably something that's near and dear to me. After doing this work for since 1985, it has to affect people. And we've talked about the weight of the job and PTSD and everything else.
We had a good couple episodes on that in season 1.
Exactly. It's about PTSD. And in turn, I'm not here to prime this book or anything else, but I think it's important.
And it's a very good thing. It's not...
Well, I wrote it about... Most PTSD books have stuff about one service,
Mhm.
police, fire, EMS, whatever it is, and that's it. This one I wrote among emergency department physicians and nurses. I wrote about 911 dispatchers, death investigators, which there's hardly anything out there.
Yeah.
Police, fire, and EMS, all of it. So it's all disciplines, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
When I put it together, I was pretty happy with it, and I think it's pretty neat that it's out there. It should be available within the next day, and it's going to be on. It's going to be on paperback. It's going to be on Kindle
Mhm.
and Kindle Unlimited. If you have that, you can go in and read it. But it really talks a lot about the PTSD. It talks about my personal thoughts of when I first got into this whole realm of emergency services. You know, alcohol was huge,
Yeah.
and alcohol was a norm. I truly worked with people that were functioning alcoholics
Mhm.
and didn't have a problem with
But
that.
that, again, like you said, it's the norm.
That was the
It's-
norm.
Nobody ever thought anything of it.
So that's in there. Talks about that. Talks about, you know, probably I was one of the people that made some, you know, just stupid decisions
Mhm.
when I first got into this business because that was the normal thing. To where, you know, it also talks about a lot of resources that's in there now. And that's the biggest chapter, I think, or the one that hits home a lot, is all the resources that's now available. Mental health is not a bad thing.
No.
It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to talk about that.
That stigmatism is finally.
It's gone. I
Yeah.
mean, it's finally breaking. That wall is breaking down slowly, but surely it's breaking down. And you can attribute that to a lot of things. But hopefully this book hits tonight. If not, tomorrow is when it's going to hit. So it's pretty neat. I'm pretty proud about that. And then the next one is I wrote a book on death investigation, and actually the title is "You Only Get One Shot."
Yeah.
And that's the next one. That's it. It's out, and it's mainly for it's a national book that you can use for standards across the United States, but it focuses a lot on Kentucky specific stuff and small and medium sized offices. And it really breaks down it when you look at this book. You know, we get into different headlines that's there. We get into investigative checklist. Everybody talks about my forms
Yeah.
and how many forms I have. And
Form for everything.
I got a form for everything, and I do. And I'm actually putting together a companion book to that one that is nothing but the forms.
Yeah.
But they're generic to where you can use them anywhere in any
Yeah.
office.
And it's so helpful. And I mean, forms will really walk you through everything. And like with that book, what was so neat was that you really went through each type of death. You like anything imaginable. You're like, you have this. Here we go. Spell it out.
I covered them all.
Yeah.
I tried to cover in custody deaths. Stuff is in there about self-harm. There's stuff in there about homicides, natural deaths.
Mhm.
So, and then the next thing is we got some merch.
Yeah. I'm sure people have been seeing these lovely shirts
So
we've got here.
check out the shirts.
That stepped in front. They're pretty cool. We turned our little cover photo into shirts, and we think they're pretty cool. Trying to maybe get some hits on them to see if anybody would be interested. I think we're also going to start with some stickers and stuff like that. If you guys have any ideas for anything you would like to see us make, we'd be all ears.
Yeah, so we're looking for any ideas out there with merch. I think merch is really important,
Yeah.
and Tammy is who designed this with Tri-State Media Services.
Yeah.
She kind of put this logo together for us and shot it to us, and then Bailey decided to take it and run with it with some T-shirts. So we will have these available. We're actually talking about setting up a table at Labor Day in Catlettsburg, which is like a national event.
Yeah.
If nobody's ever been. And Bailey's like a celebrity there, so you know we're looking at doing
Catlettsburg pride, baby.
So you know that's the big thing is we got a lot of ideas of where we're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have some pretty cool in season 2. We're going to bring people on.
Yeah.
Either virtually or in person.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Season 2 is going to look a little different for the audience.
So we're trying to figure that part out. We're kind of walking through.
Yeah, we're still figuring out the kinks with that, but it'll be super cool to hear everybody else's stories, their sides of perspectives, and everything that they've been through.
So the first guy we're gonna attempt to do this with is a guy named Ryan Jensen. And you can go to Ryan Jensen Talks, I think is what his .com is his website, and Ryan is going to come in. He's been a death investigator for many years. He's got a lot of other things under his belt, and we're going to kind of collaborate a little bit back and forth with a case file.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. We're going to get him on here. There's a couple more people we're reaching out to. There's a lady that we're reaching out to out of Georgia that's actually an advocate trying to get the laws changed in death investigation. So all that is very important to us that we want out there that we want the public to know about. So season 2 is going to be a lot different, and we got a lot of cool things that's going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of engagement. We're very excited for it.
One of the biggest things too that we want to throw out to you all is Tri-State Media Services has a website, and if you truly like what we're doing, you can go to their website, and for $1.99 or $1. I'm sorry, $1.
$1.
So $1 a month, you get all of their content along with our content. And in turn, that's a big thing.
Yeah, we wouldn't be in this position without them and their work.
We've truly, over the first season that we did this, they were instrumental in getting us started and are still instrumental today in helping us. So we want to really push that also. So we're going to try to drop every week like we've been doing. Last season, we did 13 episodes. This time we're going to at least 13. Do 13 case files is what we're going to do. We also want to get out the fact of we need questions. Throw questions at us. We like doing that with each case file. We would like to have some questions. So that's pretty much where we're at. Hopefully everybody's caught up now. That's our big thing. We're back. We're ready to go, and we hope to have the audience really engaged this season with some new stuff that we're going to throw at you. Merchandise, books. If you're all interested in that, please. When they hit on Amazon, we'll let you know. We'll go and we'll put some stuff up on our social media accounts, and we'll get those out. Please, if you like this stuff, go to our social media, like it, and share it out and get it out there. The more people that see this, the better off we are. So, and we just want to thank you all for being listeners.
Yeah. And we want to send a special thanks to our sponsors for making this episode happen today. That's SCU Services and Valor. They are both environmental cleanup services. So if you need anything at all in that kind of cleanup way, make sure you look them up, see what they're about, and what can help you the most.
And both of those services are great. They're not just when we have a death.
Yeah.
Both of these services do everything, including from hoarding to coming in and just cleaning up after somebody dies. So the family doesn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And both of the services are
something
great.
Nobody really thinks about, the aftermath.
Yeah, and they always ask us that. And they're always wanting to know, where can we get that? What can we do? Different things like that. So anything like that you need, these two companies do great at what they're doing. So they're our big sponsors, and we want to give them a shout out every week. And so keep the questions coming, make sure that you throw us stuff, and we look to see you through all the season.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.